there. Hi, Facebook family, community of Facebook friends. Happy Monday. Hi, Charlene. I just love it that I see you first. Hi there. Come right on in. Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Barbara Perkins, and you are stopping in today at Real Talk with Love. And this is our week number 20. Yay! We made it. We had week 20. Can you imagine? Come right on in. Stop in for a little bit. Click. Hit the share button. Not click. Just share. Share. Let's invite a few other folks in. Spend some time with us. We're listening to Brannis McKenzie, songstress out of Oakland, California, a true sister friend, songbird. I met Brannis through Cynthia St. James, the international artist, and we have been friends for 15 years. So she wrote this song for me called Sisters at the Well. You know, like the women at the well. Hi, Shashada. Thank you. Oh, well, there it is. I hope we're back. Facebook has been really playing with us today. Hi, Coralie. Hi, Tracy. So I'll tell you right now, if we cut off, because Facebook is having some challenges today, if we cut off, I have my iPad right here. I'm going to try to go on another device should something happen. Okay? So come on in. We're going to have 30 minutes. Hit that share button. Call a few friends. This is Real Talk with Love. And you know I'm Coach Barbara Perkins. And we have been coming together like this, convening around this metaphoric well for the last 20 weeks. Hey, Tracy Smith. So yeah, for the last 20 weeks, we've been gathering, chatting up a bit, keeping each other's company during this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. Ooh, Lord, did we ever think we would be here for 20 weeks? Not at all. But here we are, and thank you, God, we are present, right? We can answer for ourselves today. I'm going to turn Brannis down a little bit. So yeah, come on in. Come on in and hit the share button. You know, for those who might be coming in and stopping by for the first time, this is Real Talk with Love. I'm Coach Barbara Perkins. I'm a veteran coach, been a coach for 20 years. I am an author, a business owner, and a mentee, and a mentor. That means I teach and I learn at the same time. And it's never too late to have a mentor. And it's never too late to become a mentor, because God knows in these times, we certainly need someone to help us to navigate some of this uncertainty, right? Never too old for that. So that's who I am, and I'm glad you're here. And I'm certainly looking forward to this conversation we're going to have. Our subject today is unintentional hurt. Woo-hoo. Unintentional hurt. And we're going to get into it in just a moment. Let's talk about what's in the news a little bit. So tonight kicks off, in fact, right about now, kicks off the National Democratic Convention. It starts today and it will run through Thursday, the 20th. And so that's going to be interesting. In fact, when I get off this, I'll be gearing up to watch a little bit of it, and certainly to watch Mrs. Obama as she speaks this evening. I'm sure she's going to have something wonderful for us, and hopefully something inspiring, and God knows we need some inspiring news, right? So if you didn't have it on your schedule, maybe that's something you might want to do. But come in for right now, and let's hit the share button, folks, as you come in. And hi, Stanley. Thank you for coming. The other thing that's in the news, of course, we can't get away from it, the coronavirus. I'm not going to do the stats today, but the update is things are still not good. In fact, not good at all. And, what we certainly are doing is what we're supposed to do. Those of us who are disciplined, and those of us who are aware of the enormous, critical, unprecedented situation we're in today, we're mindful. And we have a mask in our purse, one in our pockets, one in the car. We keep them all over the place so that if we're out because we need to be out, we're protecting not just ourselves, but other people. So that's the news. We had no idea we would be where we are with this pandemic. Hey, Valerie. But thanks for coming in, everybody. And the news is not great when we talk about coronavirus. Last week, we talked about some good news when we got started. So today, I want to do a big shout out, because in the midst of all of this sadness and heaviness, there are some good things happening. So I want to give a big shout out to Queen Aniva, who got married yesterday. And Queen Aniva is someone, she's a designer extraordinaire. In fact, I decided I would dress today in one of her designs. This dress was designed by Queen Aniva, and I'm just so thrilled for her. She and her husband, they got married yesterday. Unfortunately, I was unable to go to the wedding, but I'm so grateful to God for the joy that I see in her face, and for the life that I know they will have going forward. So good things happening even in the midst of all of this. Hi, Denise. Hi, Valerie. So that's it. That's it for our news. I made some notes because this topic, I've been thinking about it for a while, actually. But I was thinking about it in the context, I was thinking about it sort of one way, unintentional hurt. But I was thinking about it from the perspective of when we get hurt. And so I was thinking about what are some of the ways that we get hurt in life, especially women. How do we get hurt? And one of the things that happens a lot with us, and we name it, is when there is jealousy in our midst, right? We don't like to talk about it publicly, but it happens. There's these moments of jealousy that we feel are very hurtful moments. But I don't want to talk about jealousy. I was headed in that direction, but then I started thinking about not just getting hurt or being hurt, but what happens when we are the people, we are responsible for somebody else's hurt. So I wanted to look at it from both perspectives. Hi, Chanel. So we're going to talk about unintentional hurt tonight. We're going to talk about when we're hurt, and then when we're responsible for hurting someone else. Hey, sis. My sister Deborah's here. So let's get right into that topic, because 2020, if you go back to December of last year, 2020 was supposed to be this really amazing, visionary, looking forward year, right? This was going to be the year for clarity. The year when we just really set things in motion and just move forward. That's what 2020 was scheduled to be. That's how we looked at it. And then this thing happened. This pandemic, this situation we find ourselves in, it just interrupted everything. But now that it's been 23 weeks. Now that we're this far into it, we've done all the cleaning of the closets. We've done all the little pet projects. We've started some new things, right? Hey, Angela. We did all of that. And then we got to this place. I don't know about you, but I got to this point where I said, okay, what am I really supposed to be doing right now during this pandemic? Again, this is 2020. I'm supposed to be looking at some of the mess that I helped to create. Hi, Stella. Oh, that's my auntie. I'm thinking of you, love you. Should have said at the top of the hour that there's a lot of people suffering. A lot of people have lost. We talked about some of that. And my Aunt Stella had a loss this week. Her beloved husband. And so praying for you, love you, hugging you. So anyway, here we are, 2020. We thought we were going to have this amazing year, which I am now saying this is an amazing year because it really forced us to stop and take a really good look at what's going on, not just in the world around us, but we are forced to look at ourselves. Hey, Della. We are forced to look at what have we contributed? How and what are we responsible for right now? There's a lot of mess. I'm not talking about the virus. I'm talking about those other little viruses, those other little things that need to be cleaned up in our lives. So 2020 forced us to sit down. We've done all the little projects we can do. We've done that. Now it's time for us to really go in, get serious, get deep with ourselves and find out what is it that we can clean up within our own lives. So do me a favor. Put yes in the thread if you have ever been hurt by somebody you love. And you know they love you, but you've been hurt nonetheless. Put yes in the thread. Hi, Patricia. Okay. I see you all. If you've been hurt by somebody you love, and you know they love you, but yet you've been hurt. Okay. Put yes in the thread if your feelings were hurt and the person who hurt your feelings refuses to apologize. Put yes in the thread. Put yes in the thread. I see you. A lot of yeses. Put yes in the thread if you unintentionally hurt somebody you love. Okay? Put yes in the thread if you unintentionally hurt somebody that you love and you have not apologized yet. Put yes in the thread. Put yes in the thread. I'm seeing all the yeses. Put yes in the thread if you've tried to move past whatever the situation is. You go months and months, and then all of a sudden something triggers it and brings it right back as if it just happened. Put yes in the thread. You might have even prayed for the thing to go away. And it seemed like maybe it had. But then something happens. Right? Hi, Clara. Something happens and it pops back up. Some trigger, something happens and it reminds you and it pops back up. So what do? Right? Put yes in the thread. This is the final one. Put yes in the thread if you believe it's time to deal with it. Put yes in the thread if you think it's time to deal with it and you believe you have the courage to deal with it. Put yes in the thread. I see the yeses. You know, last week we talked a little bit about restoration. And we talked about what is it in our lives that needs to be restored. These little things, sometimes we see them as little things. But these little things are the things that sort of linger and they just chip away at us from the inside. Chip, 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 chip. And they stay there. And before we know it, we're stuck. Can't get past it. I'm going to tell you a story. I might tell you two, actually. When I was in college, I was 19 years old and it was 4 girls sharing a 2-bedroom apartment. And the 3 girls that I was sharing the apartment with, their families were fairly well off. And my family, that was not our story. In fact, I was the first one to go away out of state to college. And, you know, we shared the apartment. We shared all of our expenses. I had to work. I was in Boston. I had to work. And, you know, every first of the month, it was such a challenge to find my rent. I had to work, go to school, pay for everything. You know, I didn't have anyone sending me boxes and gift bags and money. So every first of the month, it was a challenge for me to find that $140. But my roommates, I was so embarrassed at times, right? It was so hard. But my roommates, they didn't necessarily relate to that. And I wrote a check for my rent, and the check bounced. And the person who was somewhat in charge of the apartment, when I tell you this girl hit the roof, I don't know if it's my imagination, but it seemed like the worst thing that could have ever happened in the world when my check bounced. And I felt so bad about that because I did everything that I knew how to make sure that that didn't happen, but it did. And of course I went and I apologized and I went downstairs to the landlord and I told, because of my check, the rent check bounced. I went down to the landlord, I explained what happened, I apologized, I told him I would take care of it. But that roommate made me feel this big. I actually never lived it down. When I tell you that thing haunted me and haunted me for years. I apologized. She didn't accept the apology. I had never dealt with anyone who had never accepted an apology, especially a sincere one, right? And so I always felt so bad about that. It was the kind of hurt that made you feel so small, right? I was already embarrassed that I struggled just to be in school. And this was just this added thing. Listen, I'm 62 years old and I'm still telling the story. So you could tell how serious that was. It was quite serious. And it stayed for a lot of years. I reached out. I tried to apologize. I mean, years afterwards. And she would never respond. So I had to deal with that because, either you hold on to it and it stays. As I said, these little things can stay in the cells of your body. And then it begins to grow these stories and you build up a narrative about yourself. That's what I did. That said maybe I wasn't worthy to even be in the place, or just all kinds of craziness. But she did not accept my apology. Have you ever had anything like that happen to you where you really tried your best to apologize to somebody for something that you actually did? It wasn't like I didn't do it. I did it. I didn't do it to have the kind of reaction I got, but I did it because it was important for me to pay the rent and I was too embarrassed and I didn't feel like I could go and say, listen, I need 2 more days. So I got hurt. I was wounded in that transaction. Have you had those situations? And then maybe you may have had situations. I remember when I first started, on the internet, sending emails. I mean, back in the day when there was DOS and, we were learning. And I wanted to send someone an email. And I was trying to forward the email. Well, you probably had this happen before, where you forward the whole thread and the whole conversation, goes. And so, folks start reading from the bottom. They know the whole story. You didn't intend for that to happen. I've been on both sides of that, where I sent out the whole story or where I received the whole story. And there could be some painful messages, where you could be shocked to your core when you hear how folks either think about you or think about a situation, or it could be hurtful. Unintentional, because certainly you don't intend to send all that out, but it happens. If that's ever happened to you, you could be horrified. Right? Last story I'll tell, there's a good friend of mine who may even watch this. We have the same initials. And our AOL addresses were identical. And I would often get her mail and she would get my mail. And once I did get her mail, and there was something that wasn't so nice about me. And once the person realized that I received the mail, which I thought was so great, which is why I can tell this story, the person who sent the email to her picked up the phone and called me and said, listen, I understand I sent you this email. It was not intended to hurt you. I was sending it to my best friend, and it was a private conversation that the two of us were to have. But it wasn't intended to hurt you. It was me having a dialogue with this person. Well, I accepted that apology, even though I didn't like what it said. It wasn't a personal attack, but it was an opinion about something I was doing. But I respected that person. She picked up that phone and called me and said, that wasn't what I intended. That was going to be a private conversation. I just sent it out to the wrong, address. So what happens when this unintentional stuff happens? It could be, because you may be holding on to some of that right now. You may be holding on to some of that. It may have changed the way you relate to someone. I'm raising my hand because I've had, when you're working in service work and somewhat in the public, you can expect it. If you live long enough, you are going to be hurt unintentionally. and sometimes intentionally. And if you live long enough, you might very well be the person. Hey, Cynthia. You may very well be the person who ends up hurting someone else. It's life. It happens in life, but what do we do about it? Some people, they might hurt you intentionally. There was a time, especially women, as we got into the workplace and we started moving through corporate America, we started reading other people's press. There was a time when I thought, being strong-tongued and speaking sharply and tearing people apart, I thought that was like a badge of strength. I thought that, especially if you're in a meeting and it's male dominated, and, I thought that you were supposed to be able to cut people up. Hey, Juanita. Hey, Tim. But that's not the story for me that I want written about me. I want to be strong. I'm ambitious. I'm one of those women, right? I'm tough, but I don't want to be known for the way I cut people up with my mouth. I don't want to be known for, having that sort of hurtful way of addressing people. That's not how I want to be known. I don't know about you, but that's my story. What do you think, Valerie? How do you want to be known? How do you want to be perceived? How do you want to show up in the space? So when we are hurt unintentionally, there's some things that I think we can do. There's a bit of a mental checklist that I think we could run through. I'm gonna share a few points when we get hurt. When we get wounded and hurt by the actions of others. We have no control often of those situations, right? We have no control over it. But what we can do, we can examine it. Rather than respond quickly, I try to ask myself, was that intentional? Did the person wake up in the morning thinking about how they could hurt me? Or was it a consequence for a series of things? Is there a backstory to it? Is there anything that I could have done differently, right, in my presentation, in my interaction with them? The second thing I do is I try to self-examine. Again, is there anything that I did to contribute to it? Is this a reaction to an action of mine? Self-examination first. Then, what is the best way to address it? Do I do it in the present moment? Can I wait 10 minutes? Can I wait till in the morning? Can I think about it? Or is it right now that I have to respond? Or do I even have to respond at all? Right? Do I really have to respond to it? Some things you just don't have to respond to. And then I think about a third thing. I think about, what is the outcome? What do I want to see? In the story I told you about the rent, what I wanted was, I wanted some compassion. I wanted my roommates to know that I was really doing the best that I could. And that I was really trying to get to the bank before that check bounced. That I was really, my intention was to catch it. There was a time when you had 2 or 3 days, you can catch it. Can't do that anymore. So the outcome that I was looking for was to apologize and have her see that I didn't intend to hurt her or the other girls in the apartment. So what is the outcome? What do you intend to happen? What do you want to happen? And then the last thing that I do when I'm hurt by a situation, whether it's intentional or unintentional, I check in with myself to see, is there a lesson in here? Did it come to teach me something? Is there something about this experience that will help me down the line in another experience? What is my lesson? Right? The lesson is not for me to hold the hurt in myself and hold the hurt in my body, because when you hold dis-ease in your body, it turns into disease. So we don't want to do that. But you do want to know what the lesson is. Okay, so that's the sort of checklist, the mental checklist that I go through when I'm faced with these situations. Now let's take it from the other perspective. What happens when you're the one hurt? When you cause the hurt? You have to think about it. So did I intend to do that? Is that the way that I want to show up? And if it is, why? Why is it necessary for me to put energy into how I'm going to hurt you? If I'm the one who causes the hurt and it is brought to my attention, or if I'm aware, because sometimes you do things and then you realize that I shouldn't have done that, right? Because trust me, I'm sitting here as Coach Barbara Perkins, but I'm also sitting here as a woman with the same experiences as you. And there is no way I will sit here and tell you that I haven't hurt a few people in my lifetime, especially with my mouth. I'm not always proud of that. So I've become an expert at apologizing. Is this resonating with anybody? Because it's not just about my story. It's about your story too. I've become really good at apologizing. I've become really good at rethinking what I've done. Because apologizing does not make me weak. And when I apologize, it actually makes me feel stronger. So what happens when we apologize to someone and, like my roommate, right, they don't accept it? What do you do when people don't accept your apology? And sometimes they'll tell you, I don't accept that. Someone did something the other day and they apologized, and I said, I acknowledge that. Now, I'm going to tell you what that means is I'm happy you apologized because I think that was warranted. I'm acknowledging it, but I'm not ready just at this moment to accept it. I'm not quite ready. My little grandson just came in. Hold on a moment. His grandfather is grabbing him. Bye. Bye. Sorry, you guys. Anyway, so what happens once again when people do not accept your apology? You can't control that. But what you can do and what you must do is forgive yourself. They don't have to. They might just need a little more time. But it's important that you forgive yourself and move on. Here's another big thing. When you're apologizing for something that you've done, be real careful with the apology. Don't blame or shame. Have you ever heard of an apology where someone says, I apologize, but, I was responding to what you said, because had you not said that, then I probably wouldn't have said this. That's not a real apology. That's more of a justification for your bad behavior. Right? If you're going to apologize for something that you feel hurt somebody, then you just simply do that. It's straightforward. I apologize. I'm sorry, I didn't intend for that to happen in that way. Desmond Tutu said, we are all broken. And out of our brokenness, we tend to hurt others. But it's when we get to forgiveness, forgiving ourselves, that's when our life is clear, when we're living from that place, that 2020 vision of clarity. And then there's a quote that just was put up in the thread. It says, hardships often prepare ordinary people for extraordinary things. It may be difficult to apologize now or in the moment that something happens, because you may feel like you had the right to say or do or feel. But that apology is setting you up for something much bigger, much greater. It's difficult at times. We can hurt and we can be hurt. Dr. Haidt used to say, we are people with problems, but we're certainly not problemed people. So it's not our intention to wake up in the morning and decide we're going to hurt folks all day long. That's what we're going to do. We're going to use the skillfulness of our tongue and our language so that we can beat people up, beat them down, and feel good about it. Because you can't. Generally, when we walk around holding on to hurt that we've caused other people, the price tag of that hurt is greater than we can imagine. So I would offer, as we close for today, I would offer that you give that some thought. I'm not suggesting that you become best friends with somebody who you used to be best friends with, and not that. I'm just offering that you take some time and see if there's a little mess, a little something that needs to be cleared up, where there are opportunities to clean some stuff up in our lives, because we're sheltered in. We have time to examine, self-examine, get clear with how you want to show up. Be consistent with who you are. And the goal is to set the right intention, right? Once you set the right intention, the how-to is going to show up. That's what I will offer you today. Listen, thank you for joining. I hope you got something from this today. We do these 30-minute sessions. I hope to offer little nuggets that you can use. But certainly, I am a coach. This is my business. So if any of you are considering coaching sessions, my information is in the thread. Please reach out. The other thing is I just started my YouTube channel. And so I'm going to put that in the thread. Thank you for those of you who subscribed last week. We got quite a few subscribers. So thank you for doing that. And I look forward to next Monday when we gather once again for Real Talk with Love. Thank you so much for joining me. Hang out a little bit with each other in the thread. And if I didn't see you, I will go back through this and say hello But once again, thank you. Good night. Love you all. And I'll let Brandis play us out. There. Thanks again. Thanks, Clara. Deborah, Chanel, Linda Morgan, thank you for always helping me so much. Charlene, you're the best. I love you right back. Juanita, thank you so much. All right, everybody. Go watch the convention. Take care. Good night. Love you all.